like Eddie Jones basically threw the kind of like volume metrics out of the window.
I don't know if it's cliche, but like you see a lot in like the commentary, and it is true in one sense that like international rugby is more intense, or it's like the highest intensity of rugby that you can get when you compare it to like a Pro 14 or like kind of a domestic league.
Yeah.
And the same. So you assume that like a British and Irish Cup, so or like that type of league, or like we had also like an academy type of league. That's the lowest intensity, and then you have like Pro 14 or domestic league, Champions Cup, a European Cup, and then international, and whatever the equivalent would be for Southern Hemisphere as well. But people, I think, when they say that, they speak of intensity as like distance or speed, so like meters per minute or high speed running, because they're maybe the oldest metrics or the most commonly discussed.
Yeah.
But we found the inverse of that, in that as competition level increased, meters per minute and high speed running actually, well, I'm generalizing here, decreased. And what we found was that collision intensity, so the number and the load from collisions, increased, as did like the efforts basically. So in it, how I summarize this, or try to summarize this really quickly, is that in international rugby or higher competition level rugby, you have less space, but you're still required to do the efforts within that space. Yeah. And that was linked to that sort of density piece, Fernando, that you spoke about, like that we did, that was like efforts over high speed running. In the same thing, we've done efforts over total distance, and you include like collision efforts, high speed running, accel, decel. So the number of those relative to the distance that you cover in higher level rugby is higher. So you have more efforts in smaller space, basically.
I've heard that about with England, like Eddie Jones basically threw the kind of like volume metrics out of the window, including HSR, for the reasons that you talked about. Yeah. And they're like, well, what's the one thing that guys are in charge of? And it was their accel decel count per minute. He's like, you might not get up to that speed, but we want to see you try to get there as soon as possible. So that's like it's more like an effort metric that they evaluate players on in training.
It's so true. It's so true, I think. But it's hard to rid of the volume things, because I'm not saying rid of them as in like, don't even look at them. And I think that's something that in the background we still need to be like conscious and aware of, from a management or a fitness or whatever you want to call that term. But I tried to hide some of those volume metrics, not hide them, but just like, as in I wanted the focus to be on efforts per minute in training, and just some of those more like you say, like intent or like intent related variables. Yeah. But it's hard because whether it was like older players or coaches or staff, whatever it was that were like maybe ingrained or had used a lot of these volume metrics in the past, that's definitely one of the challenges. Because when you when you like discuss something not novel, but like say what we're talking about here, if this was like 5 years ago and nobody else has really researched or talked about it, it's hard to shift some people who are like, no, we've used this, or this is what I'm used to seeing. So definitely that was like a challenge, definitely. And that was like tough to balance, like trying to shift people towards, I guess, a new focus, but also still engage them with stuff they wanted, because you still need them to actually go to you to have a conversation about external load and GPS and that type of thing.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.